Welcome to my review of Vice Project Doom for the NES. This was a game that I ended up discovering way later on emulation. Actually, my good friend was fucking around with the emulation PC, which had, tons of games on it. And he came across this game and started playing it. And it definitely caught my interest, so I worked on it and beat it shortly after. And just recently, I played through it again just to make like a tutorial for it and to get the Switch version beaten, just to beat another game on one of my lists. But I did use save states to make my own checkpoints, so I don't have a really good completion time for this one. Since that's not really, if I was playing the NES version, that's not the way I would play it. I would practice with save states, but I wouldn't make extra checkpoints or anything. So. Because I beat it a long time ago, I don't actually have a completion time on it. But yeah, this game is cool because it has some high quality side-scrolling action sequences, kind of like Shatterhand or Ninja Gaiden. Though I'm not saying it's of the quality level of either one of those games, but it has that kind of gameplay, and it's pretty close to something that you would get like in Shatterhand or something like that. It's not too far off. Though I think Ninja Gaiden is much better. But, it has good quality, like, side-scrolling levels. And then you have shooting stages like this. And you have driving stages. So it gives you a good amount of variety. It switches up the gameplay with a few different genres. There's a few NES games like Bayou Billy did, of course. But that game, though I kind of like what it tried to do, is kind of shitty, too. So this game does it a lot better. It's a lot more enjoyable. But the best sequences in this game are really the side-scrolling sequences. The other sequences are not quite as high quality as the side-scrolling parts, but they're still fun. I thought they were done well enough, but I think the side-scrolling action is kind of what stands out in the game the most out of all the different sequences. That's like the main dish, and it's pretty well done. It's similar in some ways to Ninja Gaiden with the constantly respawning enemies. I didn't see a lot of NES games that did that like Ninja Gaiden did with all the respawning enemies. You kill them and they respawn like half a second later. This game definitely does that, which is not necessarily a good feature, but it's just part of the gameplay. You just have to be able to keep moving and be precise with your strikes. You also have 3 different weapons you can switch between at any time by hitting select. The game has unlimited continues, and checkpoints are pretty frequent. So you will continue from the last section you got to as far as 5-1, 5-2, 5-3. Those are the different sections that you'll be able to continue from. You have your bosses at the end of each stage. And none of them really gave me too much trouble. Some of them are a little challenging when you first get to them, but I pulled a lot of bullshit. I was aggressive. The only ones that gave me a lot of trouble were the 2 final boss forms that I had to kind of get used to the patterns, because you have to beat 2 forms in a row on the same health bar. You also have to get to the bosses with a decent amount of health too, and you have to use the same health bar for to beat the last section of the final stage and to beat both forms. So it can be a little tricky. But once you learn the patterns, it's not bad. You can definitely you can learn the way that they move. This stage was kind of cool. You got a little moving train section. But the gameplay remains very similar for the side-scrolling stages, but it's what you would expect. But it's very solid. Like I said, the gameplay is not paced. It's not on the level of something like Ninja Gaiden for NES or that whole trilogy. So it's not quite at that level, but it's a very enjoyable game overall. It's also kind of lacking, for these kind of games, it's lacking a little bit in the challenge that you get from some of the more memorable NES games. Though I would say it's a moderately difficult game, especially when you get to this final area with these bosses and stuff. This part, it's quite challenging when you first get there. That's the main challenge of the game. So you'll see that now. Now you'll see the 2 final bosses, which I did. I think I made checkpoints between each one, so it made it a lot easier to pull off. But when I originally beat the game, I did it, the proper way. But of course, when you're playing this on the Switch eShop, as I'm doing here, the game has saves built in. So if I already beat a game and I just want to make a video and just do a quick little playthrough for fun, then I will make my own checkpoints sometimes. But yeah, the pattern is not too bad once you get it down. You want to make sure you're standing when he fires his shot so that he fires up. That will kind of lock his shot into an upper shot. Otherwise, if you're ducked when he fires his shot, he'll fire a low shot. So you can manipulate that. And I'll explain that all in the tutorial version, which I'll definitely make a tutorial for this. But yeah, the last boss fight's pretty cool. You fight this little human guy, and then you have Ninja Gaiden style cutscenes between various like little segments of gameplay. Usually between stages, but also between the final boss forms. So now you got the second and final form. And this one's kind of tricky initially when you don't understand what to do, but it's really not too bad. It's a simple pattern once you understand what's going on. But I remember it gave me a lot of trouble. I couldn't figure it out for a while. But it really, I realized it really wasn't that complicated. But I do like the art design. The backgrounds are cool. I think the music is pretty solid, though I didn't find the music to be too memorable, but it's pretty good at points, pretty memorable at certain points. It's definitely not bad. This game kind of reminds me of a little bit of a lower grade, like Ninja Gaiden style game. Not quite on that level, but I still thought it was quite good. So yeah, I'd probably give this game a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's, quite a good game. It's not quite on the level of what I consider a great, game. And of course, I rate these games based on the time period that they came out and the type of game that it is. I'm not comparing it to Elden Ring or anything like that. I think when reviewing games, you should try to review them within a certain, standard and not try to, I don't think all games are that easy to compare to each other. You take an Atari 2600 game and try to compare it to, Gears of War. It's kind of hard to do. So let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.